like I said, I don't need to upgrade until I do, and I don't need to do it right now. But I saw that you finished your Rolling Rocks video. It was really good.
Thanks, man.
I liked it.
Yeah, that was a hard one to do because I didn't have there was, and you know when you when you talk to the camera, that's your break, right? So you like play a song, and then you're like the song ends, you can cut it, and it's like oh yeah, and then you go into another one. I didn't have any of that. I was like looking for people that I recorded talking, saying stuff. I didn't have anything.
Really?
So I was having trouble like getting out of one song and into the next song.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's because like I've been finding myself doing that a lot lately, and we've kind of talked about it. That I need to kind of get back to my what I like, not what I like doing because I like doing it all, but kind of like what makes my videos, and I feel like you pointed out before, and I feel like I'm starting to lose that a little bit to where it's starting to get a little repetitive. Like okay, like you said, my videos have just become like we're here, we set up. The show happened, we're done, and so I'm gonna try from here on out to try to like kind of revamp, what made my videos, I guess. I just finished the C10 slowdown video, and while my audio, because my mic died that weekend, like the cord was messed up, so the audio's like a lot of it's jacked up.
Yeah. But
I kind of went into it was kind of good because since I didn't do like a ton of show coverage like I normally would do. I just kind of did a little bit of it. First of all, like Mike is the star of this show. Like the whole video is him. It's him in the beginning. It's like him in the beginning getting there, cruising up there.
Oh my God, hold on. I never hit record on my road.
And you asked me specifically.
Yeah,
if
so
I
all right. So the beginning
of
this podcast is going to be kind of bad audio on my part, but luckily I wasn't talking that much. So
yeah,
here we go.
Here we go.
I was recording there.
We're
all
back.
Right, I knew there was. Man, I got to have a checklist. All right. So Mike's the star of your video.
Yeah, Mike's definitely the star of the video, and yeah. So like not feeling kind of like not forced, but not kind of. Whatever, without being really heavily focusing on show coverage, and I didn't get that much show coverage. It kind of was nice because I really told this story of me, and I know you were there too, but like in the video, it looks like this story of me and Mike going to this show because like we're cruising in his truck in the beginning. We get to the show, it's him. I got this killer clip that I won't tell you about right now, and I'll let you watch the video. But it is so funny, and so it just makes the whole thing. But it's just like it's about like me and Mike's journey to this show and then cruising at night. And I actually really liked it. Like I got to the end of it, and I'm like, I really like this video because, we were talking about doing stuff that you like to do. And I have said many times, especially in this podcast, that I like to show off my cool friends. And that's what I did. Like this, and then towards the end of the video, like towards the end of Saturday night, after we had gone cruising and did like a little shoot near the beach, and then went to the after party, and then went to another thing, I realized like I'm just following Mike around. Like this isn't my show right now. This is Mike's show. So it's just me following him around, and like he looks like such a celebrity because like he walks into this bar. And then like we, do a little thing there, and he's like leaving, and he's like shaking people's hands, and it's almost like a scene out of like a movie.
Yeah.
It was great. So
well,
anyway,
that's and how you were saying that how you like to show off your friends, not show off your friends, but show your audience like these cool people.
Yeah,
I'm that way with you. Like that's why I wanted you to go to that show, and then that's why I wanted you to go to Last Resort, because I go to these shows, and I'm like, this person would like this show. I'm like Frank would love Last Resort.
Yeah, or I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so that's what. When I watch your videos, I want to see why, like you at this new event and show me around the event. You know what I mean? And tell me about it more rather than just the basic show coverage. And I've talked to you about my stuff. I'm coming to a head with my stuff, and I don't know when this podcast is gonna drop, but there might already be a video on my channel because I think I'm gonna film it this weekend. And really break down the future of my channel and all that stuff. So, it's just show coverage is great, but it's very you want to see something a little bit different. At least I do.
And you want to, as content creators, it's easy to kind of fall into a pattern. And I think that's what happens to us sometimes is we fall into these patterns. And so we just need something or someone or something to kind of snap us out of it and then realize what we like to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's either a pattern or it gets easy and I've been in a pattern for, I don't know how many years, you know? So I need to either need to keep doing what I'm doing and not, because editing the Red Rocks video, as happy as I was with that final edit, and like I love the music that I finally found, like it all came together really well, but it was hard to put that video together, and I was I was not having a good time putting the video together, and I want to have as much fun editing videos as I am as with the final product.
You know, and you said, like I've said to you before, that editing is probably like my least favorite part, and and you say like it's one of your favorite parts, and because I was falling into the same thing, it was like a chore. It was like, okay, here's drag these clips in, show coverage. We're gonna pan this way, we're gonna pan that way, but again, going back to this last video that I made, when I got to the part where I was like having fun in the video and like watching it, it was like falling together. It's like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, this is going so well. And so I was like, as that was happening, I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand what you're saying. When you're into it, it kind of just flows and it comes together very easy. But if it's like a chore,
because if like, not that I didn't have fun or I don't have fun at car shows or I didn't have fun at rolling in the Red Rocks, it was just hard to edit. And when it's not fun to edit, it's like you said, a chore. It's so difficult and forced. You know, like it's a truck after truck after shot of the same low shot coming around a truck or this or this or that. And while those shots are great, maybe 30 seconds or a minute of those shots, and then I want to see you telling me about a certain truck, or like you're say you win like your show coverage, you're going around and you see like Eric's Tacoma, and you're just like, stop the music, and you're like, I need to tell you about this truck, and I need to tell you why I like this truck.
Which if you think about it, that's what I kind of did in the Forbidden Fantasy video. And
the LST one where you talked about Erons.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, because we had that discussion before LST. It's just like, Frank, go around and find your favorite mini trucks and talk about them and why. Because I think a lot of people want to see that.
That's why. You know what's so funny?
Yeah.
Angie has literally been telling me that for years. Years and years. And she's going to listen to this and go, mm-hmm. Because she's been telling me that for a long time.
It's really easy to give advice and not take your own advice per se. You know what I mean? Like, it's really easy for me to tell you how to eat and lose weight, but it's hard for me to do that to me. So I'm really good at giving advice to people about how they should do things. But I can't. And I think that's part of me is when I'm giving you advice, I'm also giving myself advice.
Right. I've learned that over the years.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with it, and we're going to work through this together.
Yeah. Because that's exactly what it is. I'm working through something by talking about it and putting you in the place of me, essentially. So when I'm telling you, like, I want to see like you talk about the trucks you like, or you do something different, I need to do that too. You know, so it's just kind of like, Brian, take your own advice and shut up.
Yeah, and I get that totally.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of a route we took to get to this topic, huh?
Yeah. So we started off, and then we kind of went over here, and then we kind of went over there. Yeah. But no, the topic or the discussion. Maybe I should stop calling them like today's topic.
I know.
It's just like,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, they're really these are almost a continuation of a conversation that we started at last week. They're almost like just a long conversation, and then we fill the gaps in with what we've talked about.
My camera just died.
Okay.
Oh my God. I got to tell you something funny. This has nothing to do with anything, but it's funny because we got a puppy a few months ago. Yeah. We have now trained the dog to press a button to say, "Let me in."
Oh, nice. Oh.
And so now the dog goes, "Let me in, let me in."
So it's now,
let me in.
You need to put one next to the refrigerator that says "Feed me," so the dog's walking around talking to you.
We want to get really into it. Yeah. So we have one button to go inside. We have one button to let me out, and then we have one button in the living room that's off in the corner that says "I love you," and it'll randomly just press it and go, "I love you."
Oh man.
Oh boy.
How's your front door doing? Is it scratched up?
Nope.
Nope.
No, and that's why we did it, because I installed a new front door on my house, and we didn't want the dogs to scratch it, so that's why we did this. And we trained it. Well, actually, my kid trained it. She spent like a few days like giving it treats and now it like that's what it does. It doesn't scratch the door at all.
Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right.
So battery's going dead. I don't even think my battery was dead.
No, it was your battery wasn't dead. It just ran out of space on the card.
Oh man, I wonder how much video is actually on there then. Do you think it was like once the card gets full, does it just shut off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because that's what it did. Now I'm wondering how long. No, I've been checking on it. It was recording most of the time. We're a mess today.
That's all right, man. Not all of these are going to go perfectly smooth.
Mm-hmm. So before everything fell apart, we were talking about your truck, your new build.
Yeah.
And and I think we'll talk about that first. Let's talk about your new build and how that kind of like, because you had brought up the thing talking about, big builds versus little builds, which I kind of wasn't clear on. And just when everything went to crap, you were going to explain to me what you meant.
Yeah. So like sometimes at night I'll be like, oh, this will be a good topic, or I'll see something on social media and I'll be like, oh, we should talk about this. And one of them was big builds versus little builds. And what I meant by that was like building within your budget. So I'll give you a good example. I'm poor.
Same.
What do they call that? Beer, champagne taste on a beer budget. Is that what they call it? So
I said that quick side story. I told that to someone one time when I was working on the car lot. And now that I think about it, it's kind of insulting, because he was like looking at this car and it was price X dollars. And he's all, oh, this is a nice car, but I only have, X dollars. And I was like, oh, it sounds like you got champagne tasting on beer budget. That dude screamed at me. He lost his shit. He just straight up, he's like, how dare you? And I'm like, because I had just heard that. I mean, granted, I'm like, a young teen, and I had heard that before someone else say it. And I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to use that.
I have no idea.
It did not go well.
Did not know it was an insult.
Apparently to this guy it was, but go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I have a 1997 Tacoma. We talked about that before. And when I sold it and I eventually bought it back and I put it in my garage, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna build a show truck. So we cut off the suspension. We were gonna build new suspension. I bought all kinds of stuff for it, and then I quickly realized that is way. I can't do it myself, so I have to have other people do a lot of things. And to build like a full show truck where the interior's done, the motor compartment's done, everything is done, is a lot of money. You know what I mean? And if most people, including myself, can't do everything themselves. So I have this truck that when I put it in my garage, it ran and drove. Now I have a truck in my garage that doesn't drive, and I've taken it so far apart that it doesn't run. That was 10 years ago. So in that span of 10 years, if I would have just put that truck back together, not taking it apart, just improved this, you know what I mean? Like updated the suspension and then just driven it, I would have had 10 years of enjoyment versus now still waiting because I went backwards so far and didn't have the budget to go ahead. So doing this now Chevy truck, I'm like, I want to drive my truck. I want to get a truck. I want to put it on the road, and I want to enjoy driving a bag truck again. So I'm not worrying about I'm not worried about the interior. I'm not worried about the motor compartment. I'm not worried about what things look like on the outside per se. I just want to get it running and driving, and then I'll worry about the little stuff. You know what I mean? But I have like an LS motor that my buddy's slowly going to build for me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna LS swap this, and then I stopped in my head and I went, no, the truck runs and drives. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't need to put this LS motor in it just because everybody else is doing it. Or of course it would be better gas mileage, more powerful, clean up the motor compartment, but I'm not going to take the truck to a show and pop the hood. I just want to drive the truck around to go to cruise nights and go to car shows. and all that stuff, and it does that perfectly fine without spending $25,000 on this motor swap. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like if you, it's worth so much to just drive your truck and have a good time, to try to keep up with the Joneses and build a show truck is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I'm trying to like put that into my own perspective, like kind of like how it applies to me. Because funny enough, my truck, like you said, the only thing that my truck is missing is the interior part, because mine is bagged. Like I never ever popped the hood on that thing. But if you saw the hood open, it's actually all painted. It's tubbed, like it's all finished.
Yeah.
Like I probably should be showing that off, but for other reasons I don't. And then I was thinking about like Jaime's truck. Like Jaime, we were talking with him last week, and he's the first to tell you that that's not a show truck. That's a driver. But if you were to objectively look at it, it ticks off all of those boxes that you're talking about. And then so I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I guess it's all your kind of perspective, because, you know, my truck is that, like, you could drive it and, you know, have a good time in it. And Jaime's truck is like that. You can drive it and have a good time in it. So I don't know. I'm trying to like process my thoughts.
So essentially this comes to as like for me being the president of the club for so long and seeing my friends and members, I remember, I can't tell you how many people said, all right, I'm going to tear the truck down and we're going to do this.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
To this day, they never finished it.
I see.
When they could have just been driving it and having a good time. You know, like if you're already budgeted for your paint job, or you're already budgeted for X, you know what I mean? Like you're or whatever, then yeah, do that. You know what I mean? Like you went and painted your truck, but you knew that once that you had the money to get the truck painted and it was going to be done and driving. Not that you completely tore the interior out, stripped the entire truck, pulled the motor out of it, and you're like, okay, now what am I going to do?
Yeah, now how am I? Yeah, and I think what you're kind of saying is what we've said before, is like planning.
Yeah,
like having a plan, executing a plan. Because you're right. As soon as you said that, like I have heard so many times, it's like a trope in our scene. It's just like, okay, it's bagged, but I'm gonna body drop it now, or I'm gonna do a motor swap, or I'm gonna do this, and then not saying like. You're kind of going down the right path, because like you've sourced the motor, you have sourced someone to do it, and you have the eventual plan to get that done. It's just like you, in your perspective, it doesn't fit your kind of timeline right now. But a lot of people don't do that. They just go like, okay, I'm going to motor swap my truck. Well, they don't know what motor they're going to use. They don't know, you know, where it's going to come from, who's going to do it. Like, I think that's what you're saying, is like there's just a total lack of planning, and that's probably what happened with your Toyota.
Yeah, and on the motor part too. So the Chevy right now, the OBS is sitting on the side of my yard. I'm not driving it because the AC doesn't work, which I'll get fixed after we bag it. But it's sitting on the side of the house. I could very well have pulled the motor out already, and all this stuff. But I'm like, no, in my head now, I'm like, no, the motor runs. Everything runs. You don't need to do that. Like it could be bagged and all that stuff, and it's still going to run with the motor that's in it. Just let that happen. Like you don't, just because I'm bored, or like I'm just like, oh, while it's down, I could pull the motor.
Bored.
Yeah.
Bored is another. And you know what? I think that happened because that happens to me a lot. I just never follow through with it, but I get bored too. I'm like, you know, I happens to me all the time. I have this 4Runner. It's a great truck. It looks cool. I enjoy driving it. It ticks off all those boxes, but then sometimes I'm like, man, I really kind of want a Tacoma. You know, for all of our listeners, everybody's talked to me. I've always talked about getting a Tacoma, but that's what happens at the end of the day. You go back and you're like, wait a minute, I have this thing. You know, and it's funny you said that, because about like the motor swap thing too. I have had, and I've contemplated it too. Like I had so many people like, just motor swap it. I'm all, yeah, but it runs. I mean, granted, it's not very fast, but it runs. It passes smog.
Yeah, that's itself. A big thing.
Like I'm not gonna mess with this thing. You know?
There's no reason. Like again, there's no reason to, unless you had the money just sitting around and to put a Tacoma V6 in it, and like that would it be rad? Heck yeah. But at the same time, you can just drive it now, and it does what it needs to do now. And I think what I'm saying is just like it's okay. It's more fun to go drive your truck around with your friends than it is for it to sit in the garage torn apart.
Right.
Don't tear your truck apart if you don't have the means and money to get it,
Or the plan.
to get. Yeah, if you start with the plan, and then have the budget. If you have both those, then heck yeah. Like if your plan is to have a show truck and you have the budget and you have the plan and the time, do it. But if you were like me and you just had the goal with
like the will, and I don't want to say whim, but like
the idea.
Yeah.
Like I had the idea that I wanted a show truck, this Tacoma with concave wheels, so I had to redo all this, and that's gonna be rad. But I never thought about that. I don't have the money to do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or the knowledge,
the resources.
Yeah, if I could do it
myself,
if I could do it myself, it'd be super cheap. But I'm gonna have to pay thousands of dollars to someone, and I don't have. If I did have that, great. But so many people I know that, and maybe this is because it was a long time ago, but yeah, their trucks. Some of them are still sitting in their garages, torn apart.
Oh, I know, and I every show, like I said, I hear it so much. I'll be at a show. I'm like, oh, how's your truck going? Like, oh, this is sort of like how it goes. I see someone like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm bagging my truck. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then so next time I see him, like, oh, how's your truck coming along? Oh, well, we decided to body drop it halfway. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I mean, yeah. And then you see him again, they're like, oh, well, while it was all tore apart, we decided to motor swap it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just like getting more, not out of control. And I'm not like talking bad about, anybody, but just like, it just seems like it just starts getting more unattainable. I don't even know what I'm really trying to say.
I know,
but you understand the sentiment that I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's exactly what I went through with my Tacoma, and I'm like looking back on it because getting this OBS, everyone's like, "Are you excited to get a truck? Are you excited to get a truck?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And in my head, I'm like, "I haven't had a bag truck in a long time."
Yeah,
and that's why everyone's like, "Yeah." I could have had a bag truck this whole time.
Yeah.
And I didn't because I chose to rip it apart and pretend that I had the means and ways to build this showstopper,
Right.
you know?
You know what's cool is like how many people are excited for you to have a back truck.
I know. It's cool.
That's the cool part too, because like everybody's just like, really? Awesome. Yeah. Like everybody's totally on board.
Imagine when I let him down after I sell it.
It gets done and you're just like, okay, that's gone.
They're like, what is your truck at? I was like, I don't know. Some guy in Texas has it.
That is pretty funny. So yeah, so I was just kind of like writing down stuff, really kind of not understanding the question, but now that I kind of do, like I kind of can, to kind of condense these things down, because I thought it was what more you were talking about was like building trucks that are like, I guess, simple opposed to like, well, I guess you were saying that because like you could just like take a truck, bag it, cruise it, drive it. Or you can say, okay, well, now we're going to turn this into a full-blown show truck and we're going to do these steps. So, okay, all right, I get it. That's cool.
Yeah, and I'm more talking about the people on my level, I guess that would say, is like, there's some people that are just capable of building full-blown show trucks. And if I was capable and I had the money, like if I won the lotto or if I signed a big contract with someone and got a big lump of money, I would definitely build a badass show truck. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just not in that position to do it. So I have to like realize if I want to have fun with my friends and fun with these trucks, I have to stay within my means and be careful because 10 years could pass real fast.
Yeah, and it does. It passes so freaking fast.
Yep.
I can't believe, my truck I've had my truck now for almost 8 years. And it's crazy to me because like I never really kept trucks that long.
Yeah.
So like the other day I was like, dang, I've had this truck a long time. And again, I think what happens is, us, maybe people, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but for me particularly, like we said earlier, I get bored with stuff, I'm like, and this is actually a thing that like my family suffers from. That's why we have so many freaking cars is because like my dad was that way too. With my dad, it was more, he was more about the deal, like getting the car, and I felt, and that happened to me for a long time too. So for him, it was like not having this car that's cool. It was like obtaining it, working the deal or like figuring it out or like, so anyway, that's a different thing. But, so that kind of translates to me because what'll happen to me is like, again, I have to tell myself like, no, this truck's cool. It's fun. It works. It's everything you want. stop looking over on the other side of the fence and looking at, oh, that Tacoma's cool, or oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like that's what happens to me sometimes. And it happens to every facet of my life. Sometimes I'll lie there awake. And we do this also like with brand new trucks too. When we talk about buying new trucks and stuff, I mean, I'll lay there at night and be like, well, I could get this, this, and this. And it's like,
man, I don't know. I just started doing some work for another client, and it's like a fixed income a month. And so I'm like, oh, that's extra money on top of what I'm making now. I could now go and buy a brand new Tundra. So you don't know how many times I've built a brand new Chevy on the website, a brand new Tundra, a brand new Titan, a brand new this. And then I look at the payment and I was like, nope. Like my truck that's sitting in the driveway does exactly what these brand new trucks do. And I'm not.
But they're so nice.
I know they are so nice.
They're so nice.
At the same time, I don't drive my truck every day. You know what I mean? Like I've been home now for a week and a half, and I've driven it to a handful of times. So it's like, it would really suck. And plus, I'm getting the Ford Maverick eventually.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
But I'm just like, I could go get my $1,000 deposit back from Ford and go buy a brand new Tundra. But then I'm like, it would just be defeating the entire purpose of my whole thought process. But it like you said, it always passed. That thought always goes through my mind. Like, but then I like. Reality sets back in. I'm just like, no. Yes.
Yeah. You're like, focus. That's what I have to keep telling myself. Focus. Just focus on what
like
you're
with your Tacoma, you're like, oh, I want a Tacoma. Like, if you would, and you should vlog about this too a little bit more, maybe at some point, maybe, you know what I mean? Just go drive your 4Runner out to the middle of a parking lot and talk about this. It would be cool. Here I am. Here I'm again telling you what I should do.
Hey, some of the best ideas, or not, some of the best things I've done came from ideas like that. You're like, you should do this. I'm like, yeah, I should.
You should do them because I'm too lazy to do them. But I'm like you want this Tacoma, right? And you should tell everyone why you want it, and then you should also start the journey of looking for one, because if you reach out to these thousands of people that follow you on social media and YouTube and everything, you might come across the deal that you want. And it might...
This happened a couple times. It's come pretty close.
Yeah, and even... And like the whole part of... Like you were saying, like your dad, he liked the deal part of it rather than actually getting it. The journey, too, is finding the vehicle. Right? So record your journey of trying to find this Tacoma, not actually when you just get the Tacoma. And a Tacoma might fall in your hands for a couple of grand with a blown motor, and it could just sit next to some other vehicles at your house.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like there's no, like you might not even get to it for 5 more years, but you have it. You started that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You don't have to like
get
it, bag it, do this, do this, do this, do this. Like you could just get the truck. All right, then that's out of the way. It's like what I did with the Chevy is I went and I got the compressors, I got the bags. I started getting things slowly so that when I do take it to the shop, I don't have to spend that thousands of dollars on the parts.
Yeah, you kind of already got that ball rolling.
Oh, look, Milan's calling me. Decline.
Sorry, Mike. So that, like, this whole conversation about, like, like building the trucks and kind of like the direction that we want to go, and kind of like actually kind of ties very nicely to the other thing that we were touching on, was the drag and destroy thing. Because I don't know, like
hold on real quick. I got Mike's gonna keep texting me, and I think the Bing that when it comes to my computer records through this mic, and it'll be super loud. And he'll just keep texting me with sad faces because I didn't answer his phone.
Needy? No, just kidding.
So Mike, when you're listening to this, because I know you're not, I don't even know I'm looking at the camera because I know you're gonna listen. He put a little sad face. I'll call you back, buddy.
That's funny. Where was I? I was talking about, like, so we invest so much time and money into these builds, and I was thinking about the drag and destroy thing. And, I honestly think the drag and destroy mentality has kind of been, it's still around. Some people still do it, but I think that was like a thing of the past, kind of. I think that was from like the mid, 2000s, that era of like when kind of back to when there were a ton of shops. Like if you think about it, that drag and destroy mentality was when there were a ton of shops around and there were trucks being bagged and built everywhere. And, people were just out there railing their trucks and
Yeah. And we are also a lot younger.
That's the other thing.
I mean? So the things that we did to our vehicles, like we were okay with like dragging a truck at night and then hopping in it and the roll pans ripped off. Like we were fine with that. But I don't want to rip my roll pan off now.
Right. Well, it's just because we I don't know, maybe we value these things more,
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
because we have more incentive to value them. Like we put time and effort and money into these things. Like I never actually did that. I never had that drag and destroy thing. I was always like super, not even particular because like I had super nice things. It's just like, I don't know. I just am very particular about things, and I don't like when things are like kind of messed up. Which is funny because I knew, and you haven't said it yet, but I'm going to cut you off before you say it. It's because, like I was saying, like if I get a scratch on the Forerunner or something happens, or one time I was like kind of driving it pretty low and I like hit a pothole and it like hit the cross member, and I obsessed for like 2 or 3 days about this fucking cross member. But then your next thing is going to say, what about your lug nuts? Why aren't you obsessed about those?
Yeah.
Because the reason is because like the reason they're rusty is because like they're these interesting lug nuts where they're not, I don't know how to describe them. They don't have it where a socket goes over them. They go inside of them.
Yeah, they go inside.
So it's just from pulling the lug nuts on and off. So it's not technically like, I don't want to say messed up. It's just like, it's just a byproduct of how those things work. Now, if the wheel like was really nice and the wheel got scratched, I would like, I couldn't handle that. That's just
But the
my
lug nut's
personality.
part of the wheel. So when someone's standing by your truck and they're like, oh, look at this nice painted truck. Oh, look, it's in Forbidden Fantasy. Oh, he's got rusty lug nuts.
Yeah.
He doesn't even care about his truck.
Yeah, but like I said, but in my thought process, in my demented brain, like that doesn't bother me because I'm like, well, that's just what happened. Like I can't. Maybe that's the way I need to look at like the whole thing too. Like I just need to like these things happen. Just yesterday, the same thing happens like my dailies too. Like we have the Camry, and
Don't mind me.
Okay.
I just knocked over my external monitor because I decided to kick my feet up on my chair back here. I have another. You can't see it, but I have another office chair directly over here. Like I'm in a, and I went to put my foot on it, and my external monitor just dove off of my desk. So,
this is going to be such an interesting episode for you to put together.
I know. I'm just going to let it roll. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah, I guess so. Everybody's going to be listening like, well, episode number, whatever this one is when it officially went off the rails. But I digress. Back to the thing. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like what my whole thinking on the drag and destroy, cruise and enjoy thing is because like I never had that mentality of drag and destroy. 2, I'm just too particular about my things. And that's what I was going to talk about was like, even in my dailies, which again, like you can criticize me on that too, because you can say, well, if you care so much about that, why is your seat so messed up? I don't know why. Like, I don't know why some things I'll lose my mind over and get upset about. And then some things I'm just like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't understand.
There's nothing. I mean, it's just whatever. We all have different things that we obsess over and that we don't.
Yeah. Cause like, my example was like, in the Camry, we had bought some groceries and we left a 2-liter bottle of soda in the back. And I mean, it's like 105 outside. So it like got hot and it leaked on the back seat. And I was so upset. I was just so mad, like at this thing happening. But then, like again, why the Titan, the seat's half missing? Yeah. Like I don't know.
I'm weird too about different things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you got to fix your seat, man. We're going to last resort. Are we taking your truck or mine?
Taking my truck.
Then we got to fix that seat, or I'm not driving.
You just like this. You're like, I'm not getting in.
In the passenger seat, like. That's where I'm sitting, man. I can't sit in that seat. It's all ripped up.
I know. I'm getting the pressure on me too, because like now, so those Nissan Titan seats, they like stitch them together with this like really coarse like thread, this material, and so now they're like fraying and like sticking out of the seat, and now they're like actually like ruining my kids' clothes and Angie's clothes, and so now like the heat's on me out there. Now it's just like, you need to fix this.
Why don't you call Joey's dad and take your seats down there?
I got a few things cooking. I was gonna make it a big surprise, but I got a few things cooking.
Oh. I know. Oh, all right. I like it. Make it a surprise. It'll be a lot better.
Yeah, we're working on some stuff. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Where are we? Where are we in this whole conversation?
Oh, you need new lug nuts and you need a new seat and you have a big surprise and one day you're just gonna get it all fixed and be like, "Look, mother effers.
Yeah.
See, I fixed it."
Or I'm just
Can't-
gonna
What do you?
throw it away and just go get a new truck.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, just roll up with a brand new.
That wouldn't that be
Tundra.
the big surprise? Is if I just cruise up to your pad and I fixed it with a whole brand new truck.
And then you were like, "But we're still taking your Titan because I don't want to put mileage on this thing."
Yeah, right. Oh,
That's a big problem with me because if I get a new truck, I don't want to drive it anywhere.
yeah. Do you remember that happening? I don't want
Yes.
to name names, but we
well,
rolled up.
Doug.
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 Yeah, it was Doug. Had a brand new Chevy 2500, nice truck. We roll out to Phoenix, and he's like, "Okay, we're taking your truck to Florida."
Yeah.
And we're both like, "Okay."
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and then we left this brand new truck there, and then took off in your old ass Titan.
Yeah. For reasons I have no idea about.
And sometimes that just happens. We just go with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the Dragon Destroy thing I was thinking about because I saw that dude from Sunset with his Toyota, and he had that.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah, that kind of brought. That's a pretty infamous video.
Yeah, because I forgot I was gonna look up the guy's name that was the famous kid that was he's like a rapper or something like that. And he was he in the bed? He was hanging out the sunroof or in the bed or something like that. And he was just dragging his truck and the roll pan's ripping off and so I started looking at the comments, right? And and it was just like everyone's fighting within the comments about how he should respect the truck and not do that. And then the other half is like, well, screw it. You know, like it's a once in a lifetime thing. You know, and then some people are like, oh, I don't even know who that guy is. So it doesn't matter who it is. I'm not messing my truck up. All valid points, right? But at the same time, it's like, even though I am not going to take my truck and drag it all the time, if someone like that, like, I don't even know who would compare it to, like someone that I looked up to or like say, cause I have Grinder TV. I want more subscribers. So if someone that had 1 million subscribers, we'll say like Stradman or one of these big YouTubers was like, hey, let's go drag your truck and I'll put it on my YouTube channel. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, unless I had a fancy paint job or something like that, then I would be like, no. And I still might even question it but a primered truck with a roll pan that you can just go replace, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like,
When I saw that video, like the video is interesting because if you've seen it, he just starts like it happens, kind of takes you by surprise because like obviously something's gonna rip off, but the way it happens. So he's dragging it, and everything is like kind of going fine. All of a sudden, it just goes. He catches like a road dot or something, and it just boom pops out. So like my first reaction to that was kind of surprised, like, oh wow, okay, so like just messed up the truck. I mean, ultimately, my opinion on it is like it's his truck. He could do whatever he want with it. And
yeah, exactly.
If that's what he wanted to do, I don't think there's much sense in like like beating on him or like criticizing. I guess you can criticism is always like valid because anybody has the opinion to have criticism, but to like maybe take like a hard stance on it and get upset about it, I don't think that's really, doesn't benefit anybody. But I don't know, because ultimately the thing that with social media and like viral videos and anything that is put on the internet, it's like we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
So like here we are, we're like discussing it and people are debating it and talking about it. And that's ultimately what I don't think that was that dude's intention. I think he was just like, dragging his truck to make a cool video. And then that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I think the byproduct of all that is it opens up all these different discussions and people, getting to put in their criticisms.
Yeah. And I don't think he did it to gain followers because I mean, I would do something like that to gain followers because it's part of my business model. Right. So, but I would also do that if I was like, maybe just wanted to have a good time. Like maybe just was like, dude, this is a once in a lifetime thing. Like I'm just going to have fun, and so who cares?
Yeah. I've done
it
that.
Doesn't,
go ahead.
I was like, it just doesn't matter. You're in the moment.
Yeah.
And And it is what it is.
That's why I used to like trailer a lot of the trucks that I've had to shows, because although I didn't have that drag and destroy mentality, like to me, the drag and destroy mentality is like dragging it for 10 miles at a time, you know, but I've definitely cruised around and drug my truck everywhere. And that's kind of ties into that other conversation we had about the whole trailering thing. Cause I used to go to like a reso with my truck on a trailer, go cruise around like low and just like, you know, beat the crap out of it and then put on the trailer and go home. I never had to worry about like, well, I drug it all weekend, you know, hope this thing stays together, you know, on the way out. But then some people are like that. Some people will drag it all weekend and then drive it straight home. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, that's one thing I have written down here. It's just like, it's all relative. It's all gray areas. We've said that so many times, you know?
Yeah. And it's also the internet.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. We definitely live in a different culture too.
Well, yeah. And just the internet comments, like reading everything, like everyone fighting back and forth and inserting their opinion. It's like, you guys realize like you're all correct. Mm-hmm. Because you're talking about what you would do.
Right.
Like that wasn't you. That wasn't me. So what, like you could insert yourself into that situation. Like that's what I try to do is like insert myself into that situation and be like, oh, this person, yeah, I would do it then, or I wouldn't do it now. Mm-hmm. So it all depends on the situation, the timing, the truck, it's whatever. You know,
it's a really important thing to say. What you said is like, everybody's right. Like no one's wrong. Like it's just what you like. I think the wrongness comes in like when you start degrading other people for thinking that way. You know, maybe that's where that's when you can say like, oh, I don't know about all this.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like it's just like anything in the world. Like everything you do or say, there's probably a little bit of right to it. There's probably a little bit of wrong to it. It just all depends on the situation that it is, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah. My notes here on this whole drag and destroy thing, I had like, when it comes to dragging itself, it just in general, you know what I mean? Like, I always thought trailer balls were a bad idea.
Oh yeah. I think that's definitely a bad idea.
I remember actually, this was like 5 years ago, but getting into a discussion / opinionated argument with someone about trailer balls. And they're saying it's totally fine because they're safe. They pull trailers. And I was like, well, once you drag them, they can break and go through someone's windshield, right? And I was like, I don't know, whatever. It just, to me, it seems like it's cheating, for one, because I could go and flip my hitch upside down on my truck and drag it, right? So dragging to me as a mini trucker was always like that's what your goal was, to get as low as possible to touch the ground. And to prove that you touched the ground, you drug your truck.
Oh, yeah.
The goal wasn't to just throw sparks. The goal was to show how low you are, and that was your test.
Yeah. I only ever built one thing that was like purposely built for dragging, and it was a Mazda that I had. And I guess this would be considered cheating as well. While it wasn't just like a trailer ball or like pieces of metal just kind of welded to the thing, it was like an actual reinforced bar that came down underneath the bed. So that would touch the ground first before the bed would touch the ground, and I would drag that. So yeah, I everything else was more just sort of like, with the 4Runner, I just dragged the bumper.
Well, the thing too is like when people don't realize things get caught on things.
Yeah.
So like if you build a bar, if you hit something in the road, it's going to get caught, and no matter how strong it is, it's going to break something.
That's true. Yeah.
I remember Jamie Van Hoosen in the club. He had a Tacoma. And we were leaving Acton, California, was one of the truck runs there. And what he did flat, like 2 or 3 inch flat stock off of the front cross member. So they look like skis.
Yeah, like Milan did.
Yeah, but Milan just did it to the bottom of his frame. So imagine like skis hanging out, like doing this. Like, I don't know if you know what I mean? Like say the front cross member and you weld them, and then they hung in front of the cross member. Like they weren't just on the bottom of the cross member. They also...
Oh, to like kind of protect the whole like front suspension. I see.
But what happened was we left the event and he hit a road dot with it, and it bent one of the pieces of bar into his oil pan and put a hole in his oil pan. So we sat at the AMPM there for 3 hours till someone came and picked us up with the trailer, because we had good. So you always have to, like, if you're going to reinforce the bottom of your truck to drag, Make sure it's not going to get caught on something.
Yeah, and when I say I drag the bumper on the 4Runner, I only drag it right, like around the parking lot. And the only reason I do it is because, you know, I've said before, and, you know, how everybody takes it, like I have that, like a punk rock attitude. And so for me, like it's going to an event, sort of just dragging it around, sort of like, I guess like kind of like an anti-authority thing. Just like, I don't do it because you were saying like you would do it to prove how low you are, because I'm just dragging the back. It's not really showing how low the truck is. I'm doing it more of like a kind of like as a middle finger kind of thing, you know. I'll admit that.
Yeah,
I'll admit
to
that.
no one that's paying attention, to everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because that's the thing, is no one's paying attention. I have a very funny little story to tell you about it. So we're out at Dockweiler, and maybe I'll show you the clip. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But so I'm out there. I'm having a great time at the event, walking around, talking to the camera, and I'm all, yeah, we're just. And Angie's walking beside me, and I'm like talking to him, like, yeah, we're out here, we're cruising around, we're dragging bumper, and Angie goes, don't say that. And then I was like, oh yeah, it does sound a little stupid.
it is.
Hey, I do not mind putting myself out there when I do something that's silly.
Oh yeah, well you got to, like we always have to, you know what I mean? But yeah, and like, you know, like the old low life videos in the surface when they had like 13 or 15 or 20 or however many trucks driving and dragging down the freeway. To me, like that's
the drag and destroy.
But it's also cool.
Yeah, it is. No, it's definitely
You know what
cool.
I mean? Like I'm not saying that, like
Yeah.
I'm not saying dragging isn't cool. It's just not for me.
Right.
But I guarantee you when my truck gets done, I will pull into a C10 show dragging around, because
you're just sort of like telling them, yes,
I'm telling them like, hey, I'm different than you.
That's the point that I was trying to make.
Yeah,
that's the point.
But
that
I'm
I was
also
trying to make.
not. Yeah, exactly. You know,
But to your point, like you're saying, like it's kind of, you know, not pointless, but it's kind of one thing to do it at a show where everybody can do that. So you're right. You kind of went to that, you know, C10 event. And you're going to, or this hypothetical thing, like you go to the C10 event and you drag it to just say like, hey, look at me, I am different from you guys, you know, like that's, I get that, because that's exactly the mentality that I have.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page.
And mini trucking,
it's just funny that you said that.
Yeah. It's exactly. I think one of my favorite things is just going to the grocery store in a truck, and it just hit, you know, clink, 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 and people are like they're just staring at you, and I'm just like, in my head, right? I'm like, oh, look at, they know I'm different than them.
Yeah.
And they don't care, and no one cares. They just go about their life. But in my head, it felt good.
Yeah. I think, you know, and that's just being honest. Like, you know, I think a lot of people maybe try to like, sometimes you just need to be brutally honest like that. And because I think a lot of the time some people like try to try to turn it into something else, like not to justify anything, but just try to like give it a different narrative. When at the end of the day, all you got to do is just be honest with yourself. Like, yeah, I do that just because, you know, it may be silly, but it makes me kind of feel better, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I want to drive from wherever I'm going to home as low as possible. You know what I mean? Because I like when someone else pulls up next to me and they look over and they go, how is that thing even on the road?
Right.
Like, so I just instilled this memory in someone, or even like a lot of times if it's a kid and they look over or whatever and they just go, how is it doing that? And so in my head, my whole time, I'm like, I bet they go home and they research this and they find out how, and maybe they think it's cool and they're going to do it too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just my way of like.
Now, how does that translate to, because that's how we feel like and a lot of people in our scene feel like that. But then sometimes, you know, I see it posted kind of here and there when you see like a stance car with crazy freaking camber just rolling on the like first inch of the inside tire, and just dumped on the ground, and I see some people go like, oh, that's dumb. I was like, you're doing the same thing we're doing.
Yeah. It's also like a safety thing, right? So I don't want to get in my truck and drive it as low as possible on the verge of crashing.
No, that's okay. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, and but I also like when I see a stance car on the freeway that's like has zero suspension. You know what I mean? So it's just like dong, and it's like bouncing in all the different lanes, and I'm like, one bump, that dude's going right into the car next to it.
Yeah, I get that.
But then I look at it and go, but that's sick.
Yeah, right. That's what I was just about to say. That's exactly what I was about.
Yeah.
I was literally just about to say
You know
that.
what I
He
mean?
was
So
like,
it's a-
yeah,
it's a-
I
it's
get
kinda-
it. But I look at that, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a respect thing. So if you're
Yeah.
going to drag and destroy, do it.
Mm-hmm.
But don't put things on your truck that can fly off and hit people's cars.
Yeah, I agree. I never got
If you're
into
going
the
to
whole
drive
thing.
around super low, just make sure, like, if you hit a bump, you're not going to drive sideways into the car next to you.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
know,
so-
and this whole thing isn't a new thing. People
No.
have been doing this, like even old like hot rodders and the custom guys from the 50s and 60s, like that's what they were doing. And that's sort of like where I was like, the whole dragging bumper thing.
Well, yeah.
They called them tail draggers.
Yeah. Well, think of it, and it goes back to like when people see like a stance car and they say it's stupid, and then they say, oh, it's unsafe, like I just did. 100% those same people would hop in a rat rod with no seatbelt, a pillow on the floor, and a 400 horsepower engine sitting in front of you, and you can barely see out of it.
And I've seen
And they would drive down the road and be perfectly fine with that. But then they will see a stance car with the wheels kind of bowed out a little bit, and they're like, oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, I saw
That's unsafe.
A rat rod one time, because then it like borderlines into almost like parody. I don't think it's on purpose either. I think it just happens. I remember seeing this rat rod, exactly what you described, except for it had a knife welded to the steering wheel. I was like, hold on. That's some overconfidence right there.
Yeah.
It was like, so I guess maybe that's what it is. Like, we do these things. I think that happens a lot, kind of now that I think about it. Like, yeah, now that I think about it, it is a thing where, like, someone does something, it's really cool. And then someone's like, well, maybe that's how they ended up with the trailer. And that's how it got to the trailer ball point. Someone saw the Dragon Destroyer with a properly built truck that was meant to do that. I'm like, that's so cool. Well, I don't know how to do that, but I can do it. Maybe I can just drag the rear, the hitch, the mounted hitch, not necessarily the ball, but the mounted hitch. And then they do that, and then someone sees that, and they're like, well, dang, I don't want to mess that up. Maybe if I put my hitch in upside down with a ball, you see what I'm saying? So like, it just slowly starts becoming almost like a parody of itself.
It is 100%. And these are, again, I'm going to sit there, and my opinion is, if you are dragging with trailer balls upside down on your hitch, I think you're cheating.
Yeah.
But at the same time, whatever, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. I'm not going to I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. That's a lot of our conversations we end always with. I don't know.
Yeah. So when you're on the internet and you're in the comments section, just stop typing.
Yeah. Or just
It's
be
not,
like,
your opinion is probably right.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, I had to do that myself, man. I had to, with Facebook, and I'm typing these opinions on whatever it is. I had to really just pull back and be like, first of all, no one cares about what I say. And doing this podcast, now this is a way to do it. And if you want to hear what we say, you can listen to it. And if you don't, you can shut it off.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I don't, and I'm not out to be very staunch on these opinions and be like, this is what I think. And you better but I want to find a balance. I want to find a balance between giving my opinions, whatever they are, whether they be strong or not, and then not having to worry about not hurting someone's feelings because that whatever, but causing controversy. I just want to just be able to put my opinions out there and but then again, but by putting your opinions out there, you are kind of opening yourself up to the criticism, and you kind of need to
which is totally fine, because if we'll just delete your comments if you criticize us.
yeah, they're like, hey, where'd that go? So on that note, I think that's the end of this episode of this topic. Anything else?
We don't want to really go down any more of those rabbit holes.
Yeah, I think we had a good discussion.
Comments and stuff.
This episode is I don't know. This episode is going to be another interesting one. We'll see where it goes. See how it happens. Hope you liked it.
I know. I hope you liked it too. And I don't know. Banking these episodes. I know really that does not coming across to the people that are listening or whatever and stuff. But we're getting ahead of things, and
we're getting ahead.
We're trying new things with this podcast. At first, it was just like, oh, let's record on Thursday, edit on this, and then you review it, and it's uploading on Monday. But now we're going down these different various routes with this podcast, trying to make it, I don't know, more of a like longevity.
Yeah, yeah, we're
instead
trying
of-
to make it last. We're trying to make this
Yeah.
podcast last. We're trying to like talk about different things and different topics and things like that. So
Yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, and we might have some presenting sponsors soon.
Oh, exciting!
I know. At least one. If you want to be, we're gonna have two. If you want to be the other one, let us know.
Yeah, drop us a line. But
And send us some money. No,
yeah,
I'm just
but
kidding.
yeah, as always, go check out our websites: livelifecustom.com, grinder-tv.com. We always have giveaways going on, so go to the website, find out the details about that, and we'll see you next time. Later.